वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगं रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगं ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले शिवदेव भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि विचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत वेदांत श्री वासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष लेख सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक प्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवत प्रभो फलिध्वांत उदितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्री कृष्णाय नमस्तुमे मतेकबंधो मत्संगित मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मनस्तारकमद्भाग्य मदानंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधुतादाय नतनी चोच्चताकर हानमुंचकदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा कृत्कण्ठये ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 17 अलम प्रजाभिः सृष्टाभिः अलम प्रजाभिः सृष्टाभिर्ईदृशीभिः सुरोत्तमा मया सह दहन्तीभिर्दिशश्चक्षुर्भिरुल्बणैः Brahma told Rudra, O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They began to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. 18. Tapa atishtha bhadram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yatha purvam srashta vishwamidam bhavan. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities, and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. Tapa atishtha iti. Text 18. सृष्टिस्थिति समय रुद्रचलीला न भद्राय इति तपसि प्रवर्तना यथा पूर्वं सृष्टा इति विपरीत लक्षणा. These pastimes of Lord Rudra at the time of creation and maintenance does not bring about auspiciousness. Therefore, engagement in austerities will bring about proper creation, which is the opposite of what he was doing. यथा पूर्वकल्पान्ते विश्वं संहरन् तथा इति ऊर्ध्वमपि संहर्ता असि इति अर्थः. The meaning is just as at the end of the previous kalpa you had destroyed, you had dissolved the universe, like that in the future also you will destroy it. So there's a time for it. So until then you should engage in austerity. That is the point. क्वचित् कल्पे शिवः अपि ब्रह्मा इव प्रजाः ससर्ज इति एके. There are some who say that Shiva also creates offspring like Brahma in certain kalpas. सृजामि तपसा विश्वं ग्रसामि तपसा पुनः बिभेमि तपसा विश्वं वीर्यं मे दुस्तरं तपः इति उक्तवता भगवता शिवस्य ऐक्यात् इदमुक्तम् इति अपरे. And there's another opinion that there is this verse, I create by, this is Lord himself speaking, second canto. I create through austerity. I am the one who, again, through austerity, dissolve the universe. Literally, I devour it. This cannot be Bhumi. Wait, what is this verse? This is text 18. This is 15, 16, 18. Vidvan, Vidvan, maintain. Vidharmi tapasa vishwa. I sustain the universe through tapas. Virya dustaram tapaha. Austerity is actually my uh, unsurmountable prowess. So the Supreme Lord uh, speaks this. And some interpret this to mean that because the Supreme Lord is non Shiva, uh, this means that Shiva himself will engage in the activity of creation later on. So some interpret it like this. In the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara or Shiva, are respectively in charge. Rudra was advised not to destroy while the period of creation and maintenance was going on, but to situate himself in penance and wait for the time of dissolution when his services would be called for. 19. Tapasaiva param jyotir bhagavantam adhokshajam sarvabhuta guhavasam anjasa vindate puman. Once only can one even approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. Darshini. यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवतरो जनः इति न्यायेन त्वत्तः तपः शिक्षित्वा सांसारिकः लोकः अपि निस्तरिष्यति इत्याह तपसा एव. In accordance with Bhagavad Gita 3.21, ordinary materialistic people will learn the importance of austerities from you and they will also be delivered. He conveys this in the current verse. Rudra was advised by Brahma to perform penance as an example to his sons and followers that penance is necessary for attaining the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the common mass of people follow the path shown by an authority. Thus, Brahma, disgusted with the Rudra generations and afraid of being devoured by the increase of population, asked Rudra to stop producing such an unwanted generation and to take to penance for attaining the favor of the Supreme Lord. In pictures of Rudra, therefore, we find that he is always sitting in meditation for the attainment of the favor of the Lord. Indirectly, the sons and followers of Rudra are being advised that while the peaceful creation of Brahma is going on, they should stop following the Rudra principle and thus cease their business of annihilation. 20. Maitreya Vacha. Evam Atmabhuvadishta Parikramya Girampatim Badham Ityamam Aman Kiya Vivesha Tapase Vanam. Maitreya said, thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, the master of the Vedas, addressing him with words of assent. That means, all right. He entered the forest to perform austere penances. Twenty-one. Atha vidya yatah sargam Dashaputra prajagire Bhagavad Shakti Yuktasya Loka Santana Hetavah. Brahma, who was empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thought of generating living entities and they got 10 sons for the extension of the generations. 22. Marichir Atriangirasau Pulastyah Pulahah Kratuhu भृगुर्वसिष्ठो दक्षश्च दशमस्तत्र नारदः Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrigu, Vasishtha, Daksha, and the tenth son Narada were thus born. कर्मयोगस्य अपि मरीच्यादिरूपेण आविर्भावमाह मरीचिरिति. Karma Yoga also appeared in the form of Marichi and so on. Jnana Vairagya Tapo Yoga Karmanam Safalyam Bhaktiya Eva तथा स्वयमपि निरपेक्षतया एव भक्तिः सर्वफलदात्री स्वयं फलरूपा च इति सर्वान्ते भक्तेः नारदरूपेण आविर्भावमाह दशम इति. Bhakti is required in combination with the practices of jnana, vairagya, tapas, yoga, and karma, so that they all attain their respective successes. But bhakti herself stands indifferent to all the other processes because she by herself can give all the results of these processes. If one sinlessly and offenselessly gives up all these processes but engages in bhakti in order to attain those respective goals, bhakti will go and give those goals. And she is also herself the result of the practice of bhakti. Bhaktya sanjataya bhakti. Therefore, at the end, bhakti appeared in the form of Narada. The whole process of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation is to give the conditioned souls a chance to go back home, back to God. Brahma created Rudra to help him in his creative endeavor. But from the very beginning, Rudra began to devour the whole creation, and thus he had to stop from such devastating activities. Brahma, therefore, created another set of good children who were mostly in favor of worldly, fruitive activities. He knew very well, however, that without devotional service to the Lord, there is hardly any benefit to the conditioned souls. And therefore, he at last created his worthy son Narada, who is the supreme spiritual master of all transcendentalists. Without devotional service to the Lord, one cannot make progress in any department of activity. Although the path of devotional service is always independent of anything material, only the transcendental loving service of the Lord can deliver the real goal of life, and thus the service rendered by Sriman Narada Muni is the highest among all the sons of Brahma. 23. Utsangan Narado Jagye Dakshongushtat Swayam Bhuvah Pranad Vasishtha Sanjato Hrigus Kvachikarat Kratuhu. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body. Vasishtha was born from his breathing, Daksha from a tongue, Bhrigu from his touch, and Kratu from his hand. Yes.
So in the previous verse, what is that any department of activity? It is mentioned without devotional service.
Without devotional service to the Lord, one cannot make progress in any department of activity, although the path of devotional service is always independent of anything material. Okay.
No, what is that any other department of activity means?
Any other system,
Any department of activity.
other system that is prescribed in the scriptures, karma is one, jnana is one, yoga is one, like that. Okay, let's move on. उत्संगात प्रीतिस्थानात श्लेषेण उत्कृष्टात् संगात साधु संगात इत्यर्थः. Utsangat literally means from his affection. from, actually, it refers to lap, just as one puts one's child in one's lap. So it is understood to be uh, a place of loving reciprocation. Pritisthana, Shleshena, and indirectly, Utsangat refers to Sadhu Sangat, because Ut means Utkrishtat. So Ut Sangat means Utkrishtat Sangat or Utkrishta Sangat, from the best association, which is the association of the sadhus. आपो नारा इति प्रोक्ता इत्यादि दृष्टेः नरशब्देन परमेश्वर उच्यते नरस्य इदम् इति अर्थे तस्य इदम् इति अणा नारं भगवद्दास्य सख्यादिकं ददाति इति नारदः भक्तियोगः. And then he gives an etymological derivation of Narada. Narada comes from a combination of Nara. It's actually a combination of Nara plus the, and Nara itself is an extension of Nara. So what it means is, it means the one who grants, the Lord. Yes. Let me check if there's any typing mistake here. Tasya videti ana. Correct. Now, grants the Supreme Lord means one who grants Dasya, Sakhya, and so on to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada represents Bhakti Yoga. Narada was born from the best deliberation of Brahma, because Narada was able to deliver the Supreme Lord to anyone he liked. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be realized by any amount of Vedic knowledge or by any number of penances. But a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada can deliver the Supreme Lord by his goodwill. The very name Narada suggests that he can deliver the Supreme Lord. Nara means the Supreme Lord, and the means one who can deliver. That he can deliver the Supreme Lord does not mean that the Lord is like a commodity that can be delivered to any person. But Narada can deliver to anyone the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a servitor, friend, parent, or lover, as one may desire, out of one's own transcendental love for the Lord. In other words, it is Narada only who can deliver the path of Bhakti Yoga, the highest mystic means for attainment of the Supreme Lord. 24. Puroho nabhito jagye, pulastyah karnayo ऋषिः Angiramukhatokshmotrir marichir manaso bhavat. Pulastya was generated from the eyes of Brahma, Angira from the mouth, Atri from the eyes, Marichi from the mind, and Pulaha from the navel. Bhakti yogasya, karma yogasya cha, vihitasya anusthane, paramaha dharmaha cha bhavati, iti dharmotpattimaha. The supreme form of piety appeared when one engages in activities that are prescribed in Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga. With this in mind, he points out that Dharma appeared. Sanat, where is that? I think it's coming now. Let me read out 25 also. 25. Dharmastana dakshinado yatra narayana swayam adharma hrushtato yasman mrityu loka bhayankara. Religion was manifested from the breast of, this is correct, it's 25, Brahma, wherein is seated, the Supreme Personality of God Narayana, and religion appeared from his back, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. Somavati.
So what is the best deliberation of Brahma? Narada born from deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body, it is saying. But what is the best part is not mentioned.
What is the best? It was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body.
Means what? I did not understand.
It means that deliberation is also a part of the body in the Vedic sense. You have the internal sense organ, which does the thinking part and all that, antahkarana. This can be taken to refer to that. Okay, bhakti yogasya, karma yogasya, okay. Dharma. Stanaditi sarvotkrushta sthanasya hridayasya api uttama pradeshat atipriyat. Dharmasya eva vihitasya akarane निषिद्धस्य च करणे अधर्म इति अधर्मस्य अपि उत्पत्तिमाह अधर्म इति. The very fact that religion was manifested from the breast of Brahma indicates that it is a place which is even better than the heart, which is generally considered to be the best place, because it is the place of love, affection, and to not engage in activities that are prescribed regarding dharma, or to engage in activities which are forbidden is adharma. So adharma is of two types. And adharma also appeared. That is noted in the second half of this verse. Prishtataha iti aprakrishta. What is it? Aprakrishta. Why is it long? Iti aprakrishta sthana. Okay, it's wrong. Aprakrishta sthana. Annatipriya. It came from behind indicates that it is not a very, it's not a place of affection. That religion was manifested from the place where the personality of Godhead is personally situated is very significant, because religion means devotion service to the personality of Godhead, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita as well as the Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita, the last instruction is to give up all other engagements in the name of religion and take shelter of the personality of Godhead. That means, in addition to giving up adharma, one should give up all dharmas other than bhakti dharma. That means karma dharma, jnana dharma, yoga dharma. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that the highest perfection of religion is that which leads to devotional service of the Lord, that is unmotivated and is not hampered by material impediments. Within Bhakti Dharma also, there is sadhana bhakti, there is bhava bhakti and prema bhakti. So that which leads to prema bhakti is the best dharma, which means it is pure engagement in sadhana bhakti. Religion in its perfect form is the devotion service of the Lord, and irreligion is just the opposite. The heart is the most important part of the body, whereas the back is the most neglected part. When one is attacked by an enemy, one is apt to endure attacks from the back and protect himself from all attacks on the chest. All types of religion spring from the back of the Lord, from the back of Brahma, whereas the real religion, the devotion service of the Lord, is generated from the chest, the seat of Narayana. Anything which does not lead to the devotion service of the Lord is a religion. Anything which leads to the devotion service of the Lord is called religion. '26. Hridikamo Bhruvah Krodho Lobhaschadhara Dakshata. आस्याद् वाक्सिन्धो मे ध्यान निरतिः पायोरघाश्रयः अचरदक्षर. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma. Anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. Wait, I just need to check this. What is that? Where should the hyphen be? Where is it? Anvaya, Kriti, Hridayat, Amah, Jagye, Bhruvah, Bhrubhyam, Krodha, Adharadakshada, Adharavushthat, Lobha, Asyat, Mukhat, Vak, Vag Adhishthatri Devata, Medra Upastha Sindhava, Payoho, Gudat, Aghashtraya, Papa Pravartaka, Nirriti, Rakshas, ये कहाँ हृदय होते काम क्रोध होते क्रोध अधर होते लोभ निवृत्ति से राक्षस अधर्म कथम स्यात् what is the nature of adharma or how does it come about iti tat pravartakanam kama adinam utpattimaha those which impel engagement in adharma they were generated and they are the ones beginning with kama kriti manasi iti manasaha purusha anadhinatvat tatrasthasya kamasya unmoolanam dushakam dushyakamiti dyotayati because he mentions that it came from his heart. The heart refers to the mind. Because of the mind is not under the control of the person, it is very difficult to uproot lust which is situated in the mind. This is indicated here. Krodha adinam api manasa eva utpanna bhru prakriti. What is bhru prakriti? Bhru kuti. Utpannanam bhru prakriti. Prakriti sthanam eva. Okay, fine. Bhru pravritti. It's not pravritti. Prakriti sthanam eva gyayam. Mind itself is said to be the source of anger and so on. And the eyebrows, like here, the eyebrows is brought out. These are simply the places from which it is externally manifested. Kama krodhadi matvepi shastra jnanamayam pandityam sambhavet iti darshitum tada eva saraswatya utpattimaha asyaditi. And despite one having kama, krodha, lobha, scholarship in the form of knowledge of the scriptures can come about. To point this out, he says that Saraswati appeared. Saraswati is this Vak, the power of speaking. This refers to Saraswati. A conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desires for low activities until one is in the line of devotion service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows. Whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. The devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. The power of speaking is called Saraswati or the goddess of learning. And the birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahma. Even if a man is endowed with the favor of the goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire and his eyebrows to display symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but that does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. Okay. 27. छायायाः कर्दमो जज्ञे देवहूत्याः पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतश्चेदं यज्ञे विश्वकृतो जगत्. The sage Kardama, husband of the great Devahuti, was manifested from the shadow of Brahma. Thus, all became manifested from either the body or the mind of Brahma. This was page 27. Okay. तदा तामस राजस भाववतामपि कदाचित् किञ्चित् सात्विक भाव उदयः स्यात् इति दर्शयितुमाह छायायाः कान्ते. Chaya here refers to chaya commonly means shadow, but it can also refer to luster, splendor. Sometimes you will find the word shadow or chaya is used to refer to luster. Okay, why does he bring up this? He brings this up. He brings this up because even for those who are constantly in tamoguna and rajoguna, sometimes a little bit of satoguna arises in them. Although one of the three modes of material nature is always prominent, they're always alloyed with one another. Even in the most prominent existence of the two lower qualities, the modes of passion and ignorance, there is sometimes a tinge of the mode of goodness. Therefore, all the sons generated from the body or the mind of Brahma were in the modes of passion and ignorance. But some of them, like Kardama, were born in the mode of goodness. Narada was born in the transcendental state of Brahman. 28. Vacham दुहितरम तन्वीं स्वयंभूर्हरतीं मनः अकामां शतमे क्षत्तः सकama इति न श्रुतम्. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body and who attracted his mind towards sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. Ati vidusham ati vivekinam api kamajayah न भवेत् अतः कन्या भगिन्यादिभिः सह रहसि न वसेत् इति ज्ञापयितुमाह वाचम्. Even if one is extremely scholarly and he has a great sense of discrimination, even such persons cannot conquer lust, meaning by the strength of their knowledge, discrimination, and so on. Therefore, one should not be in a place alone, even with one's own daughter, sister, and so on. In order to teach us this, in order to inform us of this, the current verse is spoken. वाचम् न श्रुतमिति अनेन एतद् वक्तुम् अनर्हमपि तत् ज्ञानार्थम् अपराधात् बिभ्यत् अदोषदृग्गेव ब्रवीमि इति द्योतितम् न श्रुतम्. We have heard this. We have heard. We have heard this in books that uh, even though this is not fit to be spoken because uh, for the sake of knowledge, I am speaking this without finding fault in him because I'm afraid of an offense. दोषदृष्टौ तु मरीचिपुत्राणामेव अधःपातः स्यात् इति भीषणा न ज्ञेया. Why is it saying न ज्ञेया? ज्ञेया. Everything is one letter can change the meaning upside down. But if one has a vision of fault finding, then like the sons of Marichi, one will fall down. So this is a very terrible offense. Just to view a great authority's error with the attitude of fault finding. This is called doshadrishti. तथा न श्रुतमिति एतत् कल्प भवानां केषांचित् दृष्टमपि एतन्न भवेत् इति प्रसंगतः अतिपूर्वकल्पगतम् एव एतत् कर्म सम्प्रति उक्तम् इति भावः. न श्रुतम्, we have heard. So from this also it is understood that though this kind of events have sometimes been seen in this kalpa, it would not be possible. But incidentally, this is an event which took place in several kalpas back. And that is being told to you now. Chatushloki Bhagavata Upadesha Prapti Anantaram etat aghatanat, because it is not possible for this to happen after the Chatushloki Bhagavata was taught. Yaduktam Bhagavata etan matam samadhishtha paramena samadhina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshana vimukhyati karhichit. That is 2.9.36. Balavam indriya gramo vidvamsam api karshyati. It is said that the senses are so mad and strong that they can bewilder even the most sensible and learned man. Therefore, it is advised that one should not indulge in living alone, even with one's mother, sister, or daughter. Vidvamsam api karshyati means that even the most learned also become victims of the sensuous urge. Maitreya hesitated to state this anomaly on the part of Brahma, who was sexually inclined to his own daughter, but still he mentioned it because sometimes it so happens. And the living example is Brahma himself, although he is the primeval living being and the most learned within the whole universe. If Brahma could be a victim of the sexual urge, then what of others who are prone to so many mundane frailties, faults? This extraordinary immorality on the part of Brahma was heard to have occurred in some particular kalpa, but it could not have happened in the kalpa in which Brahma heard directly from the Lord the four essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Lord blessed Brahma after giving him lessons on the Bhagavatam that he would never be lulled in any kalpa whatsoever. This indicates that before hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he might have fallen victim to such sensuality, but that after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. One should, however, take serious note of this incident. The human being is a social animal, and his unrestricted mixing with the fair sex leads to downfall. Such social freedom of man and woman, especially among the younger section, is certainly a great stumbling block on the path of spiritual progress. Material bondage is due only to sexual bondage, and therefore unrestricted association of man and woman is surely a great impediment. Maitreya cited this example on the part of Brahma just to bring to our notice this great danger. Yes.
Prabhuji, Brahmaji, he doesn't hear Chatushloki Bhagavatam in every day of his life, of his lifetime.
It does not look like.
But then Lord is empowering him in every day, no, Prabhu? Every day he is instructing something.
Yes, every day is instructing him something. But Chatushloki Bhagavatam, after saying that, the Lord blessed him that he will be protected. So that happened only at a particular kalpa, not every time.
So this immunity from protection, some prayers which we read in previous chapters, where Lord is giving guarantee that he will not fall down. So this is in continuation of that same, that he heard Chatushloki and then Lord said this, gave this promise of protection.
Second canto, now we saw. Second canto, 9th chapter. That is the Chatushloki chapter.
Here also, when Brahmaji was afraid of creation, that my Lord, my mind may be affected by mode of passion in previous chapter, and then Lord blessed him. So this conversation is also, can we, like, is it somewhere mentioned that this conversation is also coming from that particular moment only?
The whole discussion which kalpa this took place, it was it was in a Brahma kalpa, which appears to be the first day, I think, of the first parartha. There's a lot of discussion. I got lost in that.
Okay.
Here he promises that he will not be, in third canto, there Lord Narayan tells Brahma that you will not become proud of what you have created, nor will you become obsessed with the creation. So there are different anarthas. No?
Okay. And he is also saying that you will not forget me. So if Brahmaji is not forgetting him, then this anartha should not have.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Remembrance of the Lord. There are even some, like for instance, Bali Maharaj to be a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And at the same time, he wanted to take over Indra's kingdom. So it was wrong. No? That is why the Lord specially punished Bali Maharaj. He didn't punish Indra, but he punished Bali Maharaj. So like that, it's not that
He was a pure devotee beforehand.
He was not a pure devotee. He was a devotee. He was being influenced by Prahlad Maharaj. You will see all this.
Okay, bro.
See, at Bhagavad Gita level, it is only basic explanation is very simple. There are devotees, there are non-devotees. Devotees are divine, non-devotees are demoniac. Full stop. That's all. But when you come into Bhagavatam, then within devotees there are so many categories. Which devotee gets what result? All these analysis happens in Bhagavatam. So that is why Bhagavatam has to be studied very carefully, thoroughly, by those who are already resolved that they will never become demoniac and they will only be divine. Okay, in the chat box, there are two questions. Let me look at this. But after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. But we see there are failures after hearing Bhagavatam also. Even Maharaja, after hearing Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, directly from even Maharajas fall down. How come it is so? So we are talking of Brahma hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord. Brahma is directly hearing Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and then the Lord is assuring him, you will not fail. We are not talking about ordinary living entities like us. Because Lord blessed Brahma after giving him lessons on the Bhagavatam, he would never be bewildered in any kalpa whatsoever. How how can one have this blessing? So for this you have to become sinless. You have to progress in Krishna consciousness. When we progress in Krishna consciousness and Krishna promises us also, then we will be assured like that. We have to improve. We have to surrender Shadanga Sharanagati. You have to increase the quality and quantity of our chanting. You have to obey the instructions in Upadeshamrita. So many things are there. You have to carry out the instructions in Bhagavad Gita. You have to discipline the mind. Abhyasena to konte, vairagyena cha vishyate. So many things have to be done. 29. Tamma dharme kritamatim vilokya pitaram suta marichi mukhya munayo vishrambhat pratyabodhayan. Just finding that so deluded in an act of immorality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. Vishrambhat जन्य जंग संबंध उत्त सख्य नतु पाप दर्शनोत्थ कोपात इत्यर्थ. So they spoke with great respect. They spoke with affection in a friendly manner, not in an angry manner. They did not develop anger, which comes about due to a sinful vision. Rather, because they were born from him on the basis of them being his sons with an attitude of friendship, of as a well-wisher, they spoke to him. Because otherwise it would be an offense. Yadva, or else another meaning. Mahatam vikarma api na apakarakam iti vishwasat. Vishrambha also means faith. So then Vishrambhat also indicates that they had faith that even the sinful activity of exalted souls do not bring about a degradation for them. केवलम् अनुप्रवृत्तलोक अनिष्टशङ्कया एव प्रबोधयामास इति मरीच्यादीनाम् अपराधि अभावः द्योतितः. They also considered that okay, he is not going to be degraded because he is an exalted soul. Tejiyasam doshaya. Even in one of the Dharma Sutras, it talks about this. There are exalted souls who are not affected by it. They're so powerful that sinful reactions do not affect them. But they were frightened that people are going to follow him and they will commit such sinful activities. So then all these undesirable events might take place. So they were simply afraid of that. And therefore, they submitted. They counseled him with great respect. They did not want the general population to follow. The sages like Marichi were not in the wrong in submitting their protests against the acts of their great father. They knew very well that even though their father committed a mistake, there must have been some great purpose behind the show. Otherwise, such a great personality could not have committed such a mistake. It might be that Brahma wanted to warn his subordinates about human frailties, human weaknesses, defects in their dealings with women, which are always very dangerous for persons who are on the path of self-realization. Therefore, great personalities like Brahma, even when in the wrong, should not be neglected. Nor could the great sages headed by Marichi show any disrespect because of his extraordinary behavior. 30. Naitat purvai kritam twadye na karishyanti chapare yastvam duhitaram gache anigrihya angajam prabhu. Oh Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe. So how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Purvaihi. What is that? Purvaihi. Purvakalpa gataihi lokaihi. Tvattah purve ye brahmadayah taihi va. Purvaihi indicates that nobody in the past, but any other Brahma, or yourself in a previous kalpa, or anybody lower than Brahma, other than Brahma also. Okay, Angajam Kama. The post of Brahma is the supermost post in the universe, and it appears that there are many Brahmas, many universes besides the one in which we are situated. One who fills this post must be ideal in behavior, for Brahma sets the example for all living entities. Brahma, the living entity, who is the most pious and spiritually elevated, is entrusted with a post next to that of the personality of Godhead. 31. Tejiyasam apihyetanna sushlokyam jagadguru yadvrittam anutishtan vai lokakshemai kalpate. O spiritual master of the universe, even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Sushlokyam sankirtyarham. Your character is such that it is meant to be glorified. Vrittam charitram. Character. Character refers to activity. Conduct. Behavior. It is said that a supremely powerful living entity can do anything and everything he likes, and such acts do not affect him in any way. For example, the sun, the most powerful fiery planet in the universe, can evaporate water from anywhere and still remain as powerful. The sun evaporates water from filthy places and yet is not infected with the quality of the filth. Similarly, Brahma remains unimpeachable in all conditions. But since he is the spiritual master of all living entities, his behavior and character should be so ideal that people will follow such sublime behavior and derive the highest spiritual benefit. Therefore, he should not have acted as he did. Tasmai namo bhagavate ya idam svena rocisha atmastham jayamasa sadharmam patumarhati. Let us offer a respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested this cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. Evam praboditaha api Brahma yada na prabudhyata. When Brahma was still not, when Brahma did not wake up, or he did not become enlightened, despite being enlightened in this manner, despite being counseled, he did not accept this counsel. Tata Bhagavad Kripam Vina Kamam Prakara Antarena Na Upashamye Iti Siddhantam Anusmritya. Then the sages remembered the scriptural conclusion that without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, lust cannot be neutralized in any other manner. Te muneha bhagavantameva prapadyanta ityaha. Then these sages, they just approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and surrendered to him. Ityaha tasma iti. That is conveyed in the current verse. Lust for sexual intercourse is so strong it appears herein that Brahma would not be dissuaded from his determination in spite of the appeal by his great sons like Marichi. Therefore, the great sons began to pray to the Supreme Lord for the good sense of Brahma. It is only by the grace of the Supreme Lord that one can be protected from the allurement of lusty material desires. The Lord gives protection to devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental loving service. And by his causeless mercy, he forgives the accidental fall of a devotee. Therefore, sages like Marichi prayed for the mercy of the Lord, and their prayer was fruitful. 33. Saityam granatah putran puro drishtva prajapatin prajapatipatistanvam tatyaja vriditastada tam disho jagruhur ghoram niharam yadvidustamah. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later, that body appeared in all directions as the dangerous fog and darkness. Tanvam, tadam, tatyaja iti, महापातकस्य प्राणान्तम् एव प्रायश्चित्तं मुख्यम् इति ज्ञापयामास. Why did he give up that body? Because he wanted to inform that the main atonement for greatly degrading sins, Mahapataka. There are different categories of sinful activities. In Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary to the to Chaitanya Bhagavat, we come across lists of various degrees of sins. So Mahapataka is one category of sin, one level of sin. So those engage in Mahapataka sins or greatly degrading sins, for them ending up one's life is the only prayashchit. So he informed us. Dviparartha madhye tasya tantyaga sambhava anutyaga asambhava should be. What is it? Tanutyaga sambhava. Dviparartha madhye tasya tantyaga asambhava. Correct. Sambhava. Bhavatyageva tantyagattvena uktah. In the middle of Brahma's life, it is impossible for him to give up his body in the literal sense. So him giving up his a specific attitude is what is referred to as him giving up his body. Disha iti ta eva tamasa adyapi avriyante. And it is that attitude that became this. It became this dangerous fog. The various directions are even now covered by darkness. Disha, all directions covered by darkness. The best way to compensate for one's sinful acts is to give up one's body at once. And Brahma, the leader of the living entities, showed this by his personal example. Brahma has a fabulous duration of life, but he was obliged to give up his body due to his grievous sin, even though he had merely contemplated it in his mind without having actually done it. This is a lesson for the living entities, showing how sinful an act it is to indulge in unrestricted sex. Even to think of abominable sex is sinful. And to compensate for such acts, one has to give up his body. In other words, one's duration of life, blessings, opulence, etc., are decreased by sinful acts. And the most dangerous type of sinful act is unrestricted sex. Ignorance is the cause of sinful life, and sinful life is the cause of gross ignorance. The feature of ignorance is darkness or fog. Darkness or fog still covers the whole universe, and the sun is the only contracting principle. One who takes shelter of the Lord, the perpetual light, has no need, has no fear of being annihilated in the darkness of fog or ignorance. And by causeless mercy, forgives the accidental fall of a devotee. If some devotee engages in illicit affairs, what should we do? What should we do? What should we? It depends who we are in relationship to that devotee. If you're He should be given a chance to rectify himself, but at the same time, the society should learn that these activities are dangerous. There are many practical ways how these things can be done. Okay, question.
Prabhu, this give up one's life, because Prabhupada has written it. So if it is followed, will it become a problem or will it be helpful?
Then everybody will be committing suicide.
Yeah, so this, like someone may say in future that this needs to be changed. We cannot follow it.
Why it should be changed? Nothing needs to be changed from Shastra. It's a wrong application of a bona fide teaching. We don't want the government to ban our organization for creating suiciders. This is all some crazy idea. It's not giving up the body. There are many ways one can give up one's life. If those who absorb themselves in um, in spiritual practices with a spirit of unbroken repentance for the rest of their life, in seclusion, without ever accepting any post, like for instance, Jagai Madhai, they accepted. Lord Nityananda Prabhu said you should chant 2 lakhs and should do Vaishnava Seva. And that's what they did for whole life. That's what they did. They never ever tried to become some hero amongst the Vaishnava community. Never tried to guide the Vaishnava community. Nothing of that type. That's all. Just exist. Just do it. And that is also there. That is Sambhavitasya cha akirtir maranadatirichyate. Anyway, dishonor is worse than death. So if one accepts with all humility a situation where he no longer accepts respect, then that also can be accepted as something which is greater than giving up the body. That is also difficult though, because it's not easy to be humble uninterruptedly for whole life. 34. कदाचित् ध्यायतः वेदा आसंश्च चतुर्मुखात् कथं स्रक्ष्याम्यहं लोकान् समवेतान् यथा पुरा. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds as in the past millennium, the 4 Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, were manifested from his 4 mouths. तेजी साम्य दोषाय वह्नि सर्वभुजो यथा इत्यादि वचनात् स्वकन्या अनुगामिनः अपि ब्रह्मणः मालिन्यं न आशंकनीयम् इति वक्तुं ब्रह्मणः तेजस्वीत्वमाह कदाचित् इत्यादिना. Now, as stated in Bhagavatam 10.33.32, for extremely powerful persons, there's no consideration of defect. Just as the fire can burn up everything. This is about extremely powerful controllers of the universe. For them, morality can be transgressed, just like fire, which devours everything that is fed into it, and fire is not polluted. So, because of statements like this, Brahma's approaching his daughter should not be considered an object of worry or concern that Brahma would be contaminated. In order to point this out, Maitreya Rishi states that, talks about Brahma's powerful nature from the current verse. Nana Shaktipo Brahmita ityantena granthena yatha pura aham asrujam tatha katham svakshyami iti dhyayatah Vedan Veda asan iti Vedeshu सृष्टि प्रकारः सर्व एव वर्तते इति तद्दृष्ट्या सुखेन सृजेति भगवदाज्ञावशात् इति भावः. This verse is going to appear a little later Anashakti Brahmita. So until that verse, it is pointed out that Brahma was extremely powerful person. Just as I had created in the past, how will I create in the future? Brahma was contemplating on this. So at that time, the Veda appeared. The Vedas appeared from his four mouths. So in that way, it is pointed out that the mode of creation is spelt out in the Vedas. So the Supreme Lord had told him in the past that everything is presented in the Vedas. You just have to look at it and then easily create. According to the Veda, you just create. So the Supreme Lord had given this order. So he remembered that order. That yes, from if I reveal the Vedas, then from the Vedas I can understand. As a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated, so by the grace of the Lord, the fire of Brahma's greatness consumed his desire for the sinful act of sex with his daughter. The Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, while Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world. Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotion service unto the Lord, and the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotee if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotion service. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.42 confirms this as follows. Svapadamulam bhajatah priyasya tyaganya bhavasya harish paresha vikarma yachot patitam kathanchit dhunoti sarvam vidhisannivishtaha. Any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of God and Hari. And the Lord, being situated in the heart of the devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. It was never expected that a great personality like Brahma would ever think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The example shown by Brahma suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon anyone, even Brahma. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment. But by the grace of the Lord, he did not lose his prestige as the great Brahma. 55. Chaturhotram karmatantram upavedan nayesaha dharmasya padaschakvaraha tathaiva ashrama vrittayaha. The four kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice became manifest. The performer, the chanter, the offerer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of the supplementary Vedas. Also, the four principles of religiosity, truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness. The duties in the four spiritual orders all became manifest. Hota Udgata Adhvaryur Brahma iti Chaturnam Hotrinam Karma Chaturhotram. So Chaturhotram refers to the activities of the four ritviks in fire sacrifice. So they are the hotas, the hotri, udgatri, adhvaryu, and brahma. These are Brahma priests. Karma Tantra, Yajivistaraha. Karma Tantra refers to the various elaborate details about how to engage in fruitive activities as prescribed in the Vedas. Upaveda Nayaihi Nyayahi Saha. So the Upavedas were also revealed. Then the scriptural texts on logic that were also revealed. Ashramas tadvrittayascha asan. The ashramas, they were also revealed. Why is it ashramas? The ashrama. What's this verse? 35. Ashramas, right. then the ashramas and the duties pertaining to each ashrama, they were also manifested. That means everything was now becoming much more distinct. That is okay. Wait, let me read the book. Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating are the four principles of material bodily demands, which are common to both the animals and human society. To distinguish human society from the animals, there is the performance of religious duties in terms of one's social status and spiritual order of life. Varnashrama dharma. Varna dharma, ashrama dharma are for men. Stri dharma is for women. There are common duties. Samanya dharma or sadharana dharma, which includes the activities of jnana and the activities of Vishnu Bhakti. Then there are also considerations of apat and nirapat sthithis, times of crisis and times of non, and other times, regular times. These social and spiritual divisions are all clearly mentioned in the Vedic literatures and were manifested by Brahma when the four Vedas were generated from his four mouths. Thus, the duties of humankind in terms of social status and spiritual order were established to be observed by the civilized man. Those who traditionally follow these principles are called Aryans or progressive human beings. Progressive means you are supposed to elevate yourself, pleased life after life. 36. Dhruvacha. Savai Vishwas Prajamesho Vedadin Mukhato Srijam. Yadyena Srijadevas Tanme Vruhi Tapodhana. Vidra said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how and with whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. Mukataha Mukhebhya. 37. Maitreya Vacha. Nrit Yajusama Tharvakyan Vedan Purvadibhir Mukhaih Shastra Mijyam Stutisto Mam Prayaschittam Yathat Kramat. Maitreya said, beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva became manifest. Thereafter, Vedic hymns, which had not been pronounced before, priestly rituals, the subject matters of the recitation, and transcendental activities were all established, one after another. Chatur Hotrasya Srishtimaha. This is where Sri Maitreya talks about how the four priests for the sacrifice, how they were created. Shastram apragnitam astrastotam hotu karma. Tijyam advaryo karma. Stutistomam stuti sangeetam totram. Stomam tadartham riksumadayam. Vibrit stomam bhavati ityadi vihdam gatu karma. Prayashchittam brahmana karma. These are all different technical duties of the four priests. The Hotri and so on. Hotri, Advaryu, Udgatre, and Brahma. These are the four priests in a sacrifice. Each of them has a particular duty. The duty of the Hotri is in terms of Rigveda. This I remember. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. They all have this. I have not studied all these details. This is a simple explanation of how they are supposed to take charge of various aspects of the fire sacrifice. One of them is going to engage in singing the verses. Another is going to engage in other activities. There are different departments inside a sacrifice. There are many technical names for this. For instance, Shastra, Pijya, Stuti Stoma, Stuti Stoma. Then there is something else called Truvrit. So there are different. Prayashchitta is another category. in case something goes wrong, then it's the Brahma priest who's supposed to engage in various spiritual activities that undo the defect. There are particular duties. 38. Ayurvedam, Dhanurvedam, Gandharvam, Vedamatmanah, Sthapatyam Shasrajad Vedam, Kamad Purvadhir, Mukhai. He also created the medical science, so mainly art, musical art, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front page. Upavedanam Srishtim. This is all simply an elaboration of what he had already mentioned. He had already mentioned this. Let me see for the previous verse, this one. Let me see how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains it. Shri Maitreya Vache Purvadivi Mukhai Hrityaju Sama Atharvakyam Tattan Namakan Vedan Kramat Yadhat Vyasrajat. Brahma, he created the four Vedas. He released the four Vedas from his various faces. Now, starting with this eastern face, the face that faced east in the direction of east. Shastram, Gita Mantra Stotra. So the Mantra Stotra, which is not sung, is Shastra. Otuh Karma. This is the duty of the Ijjyam, Adhvaryoho Karma Yagyadikam. Performance of the actual sacrifice and so on. And this is referred to as Ijjya. It is Shastram. Everybody is saying Shastram. I think that it is Shastram. Here it comes as Shastra. Here it comes as Shastra. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also has Shastra. He has Shastra everywhere. He has Shastra in the verse, Anvaya, Anuvada, and in Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary also there's only Shastra. He does not have Shastra. Anyway, Ijjya refers to Ijjya literally means worship, but it here refers to performing particular sacrifices, and similar activities. Stuti Stoma is a combination of two words, Stuti and Stoma. Stuti refers to stotras which are sung. Stuti Sangeetam Stotra. Stomam tat artham rik samudayam. Stoma refers to collection of the mantras from the Rig Veda or the hymns, Vedic hymns. Udgotra Prayojyam Karma. This is the duty of the Udgatra priest. Prayashchittam Brahmana Prayojyam Karma. And the assignment for the Brahma priest is Prayashchittam. He is the one who has to undo all the defects that are carried out, that came out in the sacrifice. Etanyabhi Chatwari Yathakramam Yatha. So there is four also Brahma he created in the sequence. Sri Maitreya Rishi bolilen Brahma Purvadi Mukha Chatushtai hoite Jatakrame ऋग यजु साम अथर्व चारि वेद प्रकाश करें एवं अवतार धर्म रूपे शस्त्र बा अप्रगीत मंत्र स्तोत्र एवं अद्वर्ज्योत कर्म रूपे ज्या उद्गातार कर्म रूपे स्तुतिस्तोम अर्थात स्तोत्र अर्थे रचित ऋग समुदाय. So collection of Vedic hymns as a stotra, that is referred to as stuti. Evam Brahma stuti stoma. Evam Brahma karma rupe prayashchitta prabhuti jatakrame vithan korile. Okay, fine. Okay, he also created the medical science, military art, musical art, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated from one after another, beginning from the front phase. Upavedanam Srishtim. This is the creation of the Upavedas. Tapatyam, Stapate Karma, Vishwakarma Shastra. Thapatya refers to the activities of a Stapati, architect. And Sthapatya refers to the scriptures which are referred to as Vishwakarma Shastra. The Vedas contain perfect knowledge, which include all kinds of knowledge necessary for the human society, not only on this particular planet, but on other planets as well. It is understood that military art is also necessary knowledge for the upkeep of the social order, as is the art of music. All these groups of knowledge are called the Upavedas or supplements of the Vedas. Spiritual knowledge is the main topic of the Vedas. But to help the human being's spiritual pursuit of knowledge, the other information, as above mentioned, forms necessary branches of the Vedic knowledge. 39. Itihasa Puranani Panchamam Vedamishwara. Vebhya Gotrebhya Sasraje Sarvadarshana. Then he created the fifth Veda, the Puranas, and the histories from all his mouths. Since he could see all the past, present, and future. Sarvebhya iti sarve Veda Vivarana Rupatvatesham. The Itihasa Puranas came out from all of his four phases because they are elaborations on the teachings of all the Vedas. The Vedas came out from each of the Vedas came out from a particular phase. And since Itihasa Purana brings about clarity on all the four Vedas, therefore it came from all the four phases of Brahma. There are histories of particular countries and nations and of the world, but the Puranas are the histories of the universe, not only in one millennium, but in many kalpas. Brahma has knowledge of those historical facts. And therefore, all the Puranas are histories. As originally composed by Brahma, they are part of the Vedas and are called the fifth Veda. Okay, what is the question?
Prabhu, then we still see a section of people who say that we will believe only Shruti and not Smriti. So if it is created by Brahmaji, is it not clear to them that Brahmaji himself is creating it along with the Vedas?
They do not accept Bhagavatam.
Oh. Shruti also says this. So, but Shruti also some sloka is there about this fifth Veda.
Yeah. So for that they say that sometimes there are some histories which are in the Shruti itself. So then they say that Itihasa Puranas as the fifth Veda as mentioned in the Upanishads are a reference to that. But that is actually a bogus argument because then why would it say it is the fifth Veda? There are four Vedas. If portions of the four Veda, why would portions of the four Veda be called the fifth Veda? Fifth Veda means it has to be independent and separate. If you have, Jiva Goswami says, we have 5 fingers means the fifth finger is not part of the 4 fingers, no. It is fifth, separate. Okay, so we'll stop at that. We will continue from 40, 3.12.40. Amshakal Putra Vyashi Vipasan Vibhyo Chaparitana Bhavane Pyo Vishnu Pyo Namo Namaha.